Hi, everybody. I'm Richard Sher, and it's time to square off. Let's meet this week's panel. Longtime Baltimore talk show host, Jimmy Mathis. We welcome back to square off Ganesha Martin, who's a police reform consultant, among many other important jobs. Mr. Politics and one of the assistants to Baltimore City State's Attorney, Hassan Giordano. Hassan Giordano, hello. And former Orioles bat boy from the 1960s, getting ready to lead the Orioles to a World Series championship, jumping Bob Scherr. Well, some say that former President Donald Trump is reported to be in a panic mode as the deadline approaches to secure $500 million to appeal his civil fraud case in New York. Early on Friday, Trump said he has the cash to take care of this come Monday. We'll have to wait and see. And he has also ignited a firestorm that has outraged Jewish and non-Jewish Americans. In Trump's words, quote, any Jewish person who votes for Democrats hates their religion and hates everything about Israel. Jewish people should be ashamed of themselves, says Trump, because Israel, he says, will be destroyed. Bob Scherr, start us off.
I know the accusation against Trump is that he's anti-Semitic as a result of those remarks. My response to that is Trump is not anti-anything. Trump has no problem criticizing anybody or not because he has no specific values, all right? He only cares about getting the votes. So he thinks that this will get him votes. It's like when he was criticized for making remarks, Nazi remarks, and people said he's this, that, and the other. He's not anything. He just wants votes. So he thinks this is going to wake up the Jewish community. And some of what he says, as far as that goes, he's got a point. And because I've never understood how the Jewish vote should be democratic. When Barack Obama was president, I could never understand Jews supporting Barack Obama because he was not pro-Israel. Biden is not pro-Israel.
All right.
So I do understand part of those remarks.
Ganesha, welcome. Let's hear from you.
Look, with the exception of adopting some of the last things that Bob just shared, I agree. He stands for himself. So, right. And he speaks to his base. He's not a serious person. I mean, these types of divisive and bombastic outbursts are irresponsible. When someone constantly has public temper tantrums, it's difficult to hear the words through all the rhetoric, though you can clearly hear the danger. It's actually very sad. So I think he says whatever he can to get people riled up to, come and worship at the altar of Trump.
Hassan and then Jimmy.
Well, I find it a little offensive that we feel like just because a politician doesn't 100% always support a particular country and their interests, that they're somehow anti-Semitic. It makes absolutely no sense. But Donald Trump, for his entire career, has always played this stereotypical religion versus the people to get support and or votes. He did it a few years ago when he made comments about to the Republican Jewish coalition back in 2015 about them wanting to control their politicians and suggested that they used money to do such. And this is just another attempt at him making himself viable and people talking about him once again in the news.
Jimmy.
I'm not sure what I'm missing on this. Under the Obama administration, we fast-tracked Iran to the bomb when the rhetoric from Iran was death to Israel, death to America. I'm pretty sure there's a war still going on right now. I'm pretty sure Donald Trump is the first president that actually delivered on the promise to move the embassy to Jerusalem. I agree with Bob. I don't understand where this consistent support from the Jewish community is right now with the Democratic Party. I really don't. I mean, we can question Donald Trump's rhetoric all we want, but at some point, you got to look at what's going on over the last 8 years.
Now, I voted for Trump twice. I am not going to vote for him this time. I can't
Why?
tolerate him at the why? Because number one, the way he handled the election, the loss, the January 6th, the comments that he has made now, he's right out front telling you on day one, everyone convicted of January 6th is pardoned. I mean, not supporting Ukraine is a terrible mistake. Not supporting NATO is a terrible mistake. He gives nuclear secrets to golf friends at his home. I mean, he is dangerous. The only one worse than Trump is Joe Biden, and that's a problem for me.
How do you mean?
Well, those are the two. But I was just going to say, I mean, if you say you're not going to vote for Trump, then that's a vote for Biden.
Well, number one, I don't have to worry about it because I live in Maryland. It doesn't matter who I vote for. That's number one. And number two, I'm not voting. Right now, I'm not voting. I cannot vote for Biden, but I can't vote for Trump either. I have no candidate.
Well, that's the question then. Come November 5th is how many voters actually feel as way Bob does, that they're not, whether they're Republicans and not excited about Donald Trump and refuse to vote for him, or Democrats and just really not excited about Joe Biden and unwilling to vote for him. The question is going to be how many people of those people stay home and how many people actually turn out to vote for one of these two buffoons.
What's the issue? Turnout. This is an election where turnout is going to determine it. It always does, but this time more than ever, because nobody really likes anybody.
Now, let me say something. Let me get this in, and then Ganesha is just dying to speak. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, who happens to be Jewish, says to make Israel a partisan issue only hurts Israel and the U.S.-Israeli relationship. So we don't know the point, but go ahead, Ganesha.
I mean, what is he talking about? To make it a partisan issue? It's been a partisan issue. It's just more upfront right now because of what's happening, what's happening over there. But I do agree with what some of the folks say, that it's going to come to turnout. And Trump is diabolically smart about his base. Right. And so if you have a lot of people like the folks on this call who just are just like, I'm going to sit out, and he motivates his base to show up, then that's going to be a problem. It's actually really, I was about to say we probably can't cuss on the show, but it sure shows, so I probably could drop an F-bomb, but it's really actually freaking scary. That this is where we are in American politics right now, where we are talking about a person who, has a chance, who says on the first day he wants to be a dictator, that he loves for his people to be able to bow down to him, and that, he feels like January 6th was just like, a walk in the park, another just friendly tour of the U.S. Capitol. 3 police were killed. Right. And you're talking out of both sides of your mouth. You say that you're a patriot, but you're doing everything to tear down the democracy. So, we'll see.
Bob, I see you want to talk, but Trump issued a threat at a recent rally. In his words, if I lose, there will be a bloodbath. The threat of more violence is absolutely clear. Go ahead, Bob.
He meant what he said. There was a bloodbath on January 6th, and I don't understand how half the country didn't see what I saw, because I saw it. They had videos of what happened January 6th. There will be a bloodbath. It will be worse than January 6th. And the reason he can get away with, Trump can get away with anything. The guy's got 90-some charges against him. He's not going to be convicted of any of them. He's going to get out of every single one of them. There are no consequences for anything he does, and he sees it, and America sees it, and he can say whatever he wants, but he means it. There will be a bloodbath if he doesn't win the election. He's not going to take it sitting down, a loss.
Yeah, but I gotta push back on how they tried to frame this, whether it was probably the wrong choice of words, but he does this purposely over and over again because he knows it's going to incite people. He knows it's, as Ganesha said, drive out his base, but he also knows that the media is going to talk about it. When he talked about this, he was talking about it in the context of the automobile industry. He wasn't talking about it as if, there's going to be a January 6th bloodbath type of insightful rioting if I don't win. And I just think that the media kind of really took this way out of proportion, as they do. And I would assume that Donald Trump said it in such a fashion, knowing that they would do just that. And for 2 weeks now, we're talking about that very thing. So again, he's masterful when it comes to being able to incite people to talk about him. And he continues to dominate the airwaves, which to me is a great PR move, especially for somebody who's on the ballot.
Look, this
Well,
comes down
talking
to the
about
end of
it.
the day.
Go ahead, Jim.
Go,
This comes
Jimmy.
down to two. This comes down to two simple points. Okay, number one, Trump will turn out the base. Okay, there is no voter enthusiasm when it comes to President Biden. The question is, do Democrats hate Trump enough to show up and pull the lever against him? And they may, but that's a very dangerous strategy to be playing for the Democrats right now.
Well, I don't think Biden's that popular among Democrats.
He's not. That's
look at
that's the whole point. That's my whole point, right? Do Democrats hate Trump enough to show up and vote against him? That's what I think this election comes down to, because like we've been talking about, whether you like him or not, and we can question the rhetoric until the cows come home, but the reality is the people that support Trump, they are going to show up and vote. So it comes down to, again, on the other side, do they hate Trump enough to show up and vote against him with zero enthusiasm right now with President Biden?
All right, guys, this is just,
Democrats. If the Democrats put out another candidate, they could win. I don't care who they put out, but they
Totally
can't win
agree.
with Biden.
I totally agree. Right. And they needed to make that decision months ago. Right? I mean,
No, it actually can be done at the convention. I mean, it'll be a stupid political move, but it can be done,
Right.
and it could actually ignite Democrats and get them excited. That's a move that I would do.
I
Not
remember
against
having
the
this
incumbent
conversation back in
president.
2016,
Not
by
against
the
the
way.
incumbent president. It's not going to happen.
all right, let me just say, Republican Senator Bill Cassidy, he's from Louisiana. He was on Meet the Press. He calls the 2024 presidential race, quote, a sorry state of affairs. He was one of 7 Republican senators who voted to convict Trump at his 2021 impeachment trial. And there was one thing that just cleared that before we go to break with Howard. It says here, Trump needs $500 million. Donald Trump's social media company has merged with a cash-rich shell corporation, a move. Wait a minute. I just lost it. A move that puts billions of dollars in his coffers, I guess. We'll have to see what that means. In the meantime, here is the voice of Square Off, Howard Mallison.
Thank you, Richard. With March Madness happening right now and the Orioles getting ready to come back to Camden Yards and start playing, what a great place to watch a ball game or an event is Pappas. Pappas sports bars are the best because, you can enjoy that famous Pappas fab cake, as Richard calls it, or you could choose anything from their fine menu, and there's TV sets all over the sports bar. They're not just TV sets. These are huge screens to watch any game you choose, and it's fun. It's as much fun as going out to the ball game. And you know what? That fab cake is Oprah's favorite, and they ship everywhere around the country. There's now 4 locations of Pappas, including the newest sports bar in Bel Air. You got to make Pappas at least one time this spring to catch the games at the sports bar. Pappas Restaurants. Leading edge auto, body, and mechanical repair want you to know that the insurance companies cannot tell you where to take your car. With spring here now, it's a good time to get your car ready for spring and summer driving. If you had any dents from the winter, get them taken care of. They'll fix a car. You fix your car, it'll look like new. Richard and his family have been taking their cars to Leading Edge for years. They work on all makes and models. They offer free pickup anywhere in the Baltimore area. Give Leading Edge a call at 410-433-6433 or visit them at 5807 Falls Road in the heart of Mount Washington. They make your car look and run like new again. Back to you, Richard.
They sure do. They're great. Jeff Siegel and his whole staff. Trust me, if you are looking for a place to get your car fixed, your dents fixed, go to Leading Edge. I do want to say that your Square Off team is building a list. We're building a list of regular viewers because who knows, we might give away the world someday or have some kind of a contest. So do us a big favor, please. Do us a favor and log on to Watch Square Off at hotmail.com. Send your name and any comments you might have about the program. That's Watch Square Off at hotmail.com. Well, as you know, if you watch the news, the friendly skies have been anything but friendly. In fact, aviation is under the microscope. Never has it been this intense. It's under there. This year, there have so far this year, 14 high-profile incidents raising red flags about the safety of the airline industry. These incidents began on January 2nd when a Japan airliner Airbus A350 collided with a Japanese Coast Guard plane. The Airbus passengers were safely evacuated. Tragically, the 5 on board the Coast Guard plane were killed. What do you think about flying these days? Anybody? Ganesha, you fly around the country.
Yeah, I'm on a plane probably every week, every 2 weeks. But first of all, real critical question: the car place that takes out dents, do they also take dents out of cellulite? I mean, they do. I'll sign up right now. Just want to know.
Are you kidding? You're perfect.
Yeah, flying. I have to tell you, I got on a flight 2 nights ago, and I don't really normally pay attention to this, but I got on, and it's American, and I don't really care for American that much, so I can say this. I mean, I was paying attention to all the stuff that was peeling and what wasn't. What I'm looking up and making sure, like, does this look safe? Are the handles on? So, I'm trying very hard not to be pessimistic. It just feels like this is how we are in the country right now, but people don't give a shit about shit anymore. I mean, there used to be where I felt like we were very proud of like our industrial, the way we produce things. I just don't think that we care anymore. And then secondly, to that whole pessimistic, like, I don't know, people are like fed up. They're like here, so they show up on these planes. Anything can aggravate and trigger you, and it's unfortunate. These flight attendants, like, they're not the people to handle this stuff. But I don't think we should start having police, on the planes. Maybe cameras, right?
Well,
so then people feel like they have to pull theirs out.
They used to have the sky marshals. They were armed. They were hiding in the seats. They were, well, I do want to say that on January 5th, you'll remember the Alaskan Boeing 737 MAX 9 lost a mid-cabin door shortly after taking off from Portland, Oregon. The FAA grounded the MAX 9 fleet, and this affected Alaska and United Airlines. And just Friday of this past week, the FBI contacted the passengers who are on board that Alaskan jet. They've been told they are possible victims of a crime. What do you think about that, Bob?
Look, Bowen's definitely had.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Bob and Jimmy.
I know that wasn't there a whistleblower that came forward recently who indicated that they're cutting corners with the production of different parts of these airplanes. They're cutting corners. There's cutting corners in the airline industry all over. I'm talking about service, and it started during COVID. During COVID, when these airlines applied for the PPP money, the COVID money to
Right.
keep your employees. The airline industry, most of these airline companies took the money, and instead of using it to retain their employees, they laid them off anyway and let them buy out their contract and early retirement and all that. So that when COVID was over, there was now a shortage because the airline industry laid off flight attendants, pilots, everybody had a shortage. So now they're trying to recoup, they're trying to train new pilots, and they're just not up to speed. So at least that is what explains why there's poor service. As far as the safety, I have no idea what's going on, except somebody's cutting corners somewhere.
Jimmy, come on back.
Yeah, look, I'm actually a private pilot. Boeing has had a bad year. There's no question about that. To Bob's point, COVID was horrible for the airline industry. They were flying planes with nobody on board to keep their lease agreements on terminals. I will say this, it is still the safest form of transportation there is. And look, anything that ever happens with an airliner is going to be newsworthy. I'm not dismissing the amount of incidents that have happened in the last few months, but it's still the safest form to travel right now.
5 of
And
these
look,
Hassan, wait. 5 incidents, all on United Airlines. And their CEO, Scott Kirby, says, these incidents have our attention and have sharpened our focus. Go ahead, Hassan.
well, it's probably the problem is they weren't focused. All they were worried about is greed. And look, it's a competitive world, especially in commercial airlining. So I have absolutely no doubt that they were cutting a lot of corners to compete with the other airlines and to save as much money to give to their stockbrokers and to their CEOs and the big. I was one of the ones flying. It was 3 people on the plane during COVID, all right, going to Vegas.
Yep.
And there was about 3 people in the hotel with me in Las Vegas. So I understand that they took a loss, but then don't get it twisted. They got a lot of money recouped from Congress giving it to them because of that. And like Bob said, they ended up laying off and firing a lot of employees to cut costs. And then you question, where did that money go to? And that's why people are so pessimistic about not only just the airlines, but corporations across the country that made out very well during COVID.
And
yeah, but everybody wants to be able to fly for $100, right? I mean, you look at the price of an airline ticket, how much it's come down over the last 15 years. Like, you can't have it both ways either.
True.
But
look, nobody.
I don't like the overbooking.
Yeah,
they're
they're trying
overbooking.
Right. Sure. Yeah.
They're trying to be competitive. So we didn't tell them to take their things down. They did it to be competitive.
Right.
Spirit comes with these charges. Oh, we'll give you $70 fleet, but we're going to charge you an arm and a leg for luggage and everything else that we charge you with. So, that's them being competitive. And instead of just saying, look, I'm just going to be who I am, and somebody's going to pay the price that I'm going to set if I have premium, flight.
A couple months ago, I went to Florida, and I had booked my ticket well in advance, like 6 weeks in advance. I go there, I get my boarding pass. It says I'm standby. Why am I standby? I went nuts over that. I had booked it 6 weeks, and I found out this is routine. So for me to get on the flight, 3 people had to volunteer to get off, which they did. You always can find people that will get off. But it makes no sense.
The exact same thing happened.
They overbooked,
the exact same thing
and
happened
there's
to
no
me
excuse for that.
Yeah.
Okay, guys.
The exact same thing happened to me going to Florida a couple months ago, and I wasn't able to get on the plane.
Really? But you know what we've seen on TV? Everybody watches the news. We have seen people attacking flight attendants, beating each other up. We've seen passengers subduing, duct taping other passengers. I mean, it's like crazy up there. Absolutely nuts. How about this guy earlier this week? He took pictures at the airport when people weren't looking of their boarding passes. And he used one of those photographs to board this plane, and he hid out in the bathroom, but he was caught. What a shame. Jimmy, by the way, Jimmy, I've gotten about 25 calls people want to know if you are actually broadcasting from your plane.
I am not.
Ganesha, you want to talk? I saw you raise your hand.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say when Bob was talking about the charges, don't forget that charge to breathe. Like they added that in there. But yeah, no, but I also think too, this conversation ties into what we were talking about earlier. I feel like COVID plus Trump has changed the norms. Like there are things that we normally would not do, would not say. So we probably want to punch the waitress or the flight attendant, or we want to tell that person, shut your effing baby up. Like we might have wanted to do that before. And we thought, man, no, I can't, I don't look bad. Now it's like, it's a free for all. Like say what you want, do what you want, get it on video. You get 1,000 million followers and then you're rich. I mean, this is the new.
I was going to say the same thing you just said. I don't know if it's the culture that is the reason that we have Trump, or Trump has created the culture. I'm not sure whether it's the chicken or the egg that comes first. But when people see that the former president of the United States, who has a good chance of being the next president of the United States, has 90 some charges against him, and there's no consequences, people believe now they can get away with anything. And I think that is part of the problem.
All right,
And look, let's be honest. I think you're right in the sense that when you have a president of the United States who's telling people to grab women by their wing, I'm not going to get as vulgar as, but that you start to see younger people kind of looking at that. My son, a big supporter of Trump, 17 years old. He likes the way that Trump just kind of, what he says, calls it as it is. Doesn't really matter. And that ignites certain people who've never kind of been into politics, who just want to get in it because of somebody like, and look, COVID has gotten a lot of people very selfish, right? If you look now, people are just stopping in the middle of the road, putting their blinkers on. It doesn't matter about anybody else. It's always about what you want at that time. And it's just become a selfish society altogether.
All right, we got a break. Here's Howard. We'll be right back. I want to ask Bob Scherr about the Orioles. Go ahead, Howard.
Oh, thank you, Rich. I'm sure you've seen some of the Barry Glazer TV commercials. They're different. They get your attention, but they also get results. That's the important thing. That's why Barry Glazer and his team, including an in-house doctor, make no apologies for getting every penny they can from the insurance companies. So when it comes to personal injury or medical malpractice or nursing home neglect, there's only one choice, Barry Glazer. Give them a call at 410-547-8568. And there are a lot of diners in Baltimore. The most famous of them all are the Double T diners. TT, totally terrific. You're sure to find the best breakfast, lunch, or dinner from the Double T's enormous menu selections. There's Double T locations on Route 40 West, Perry Hall, White Marsh, Laurel, Annapolis, Pasadena, and the EC Diner in Ellicott City. Plus, try by the docks on Middle River for their Monday night lobster specials. They're all in the Double T family. Back to you, Richard.
Thanks, Howard. Well, Bob Scherr, you were a bat boy back in what, 1930? When was that?
Not far from that, 64, 5, and 6. So it's been a while.
All right. Well, in terms of your opinion about these great red hot Orioles, I have here that you're on standby, but we're going to let you come through. Okay. What do you think of the Birds?
They're the most exciting team in baseball. They have so many players. They have too many good players. They have the best farm system in baseball. For opening day, they've got like 2 spots available with like 7 or 8 players competing for the 2 spots. It's just incredible. It's going to be a very exciting year. If their pitching can hold up, that's their only question mark, their starting pitching. If they can hold up due to injuries, by the way. So if they can get, and I think they will. I think they'll get another pitcher or 2. If they can go all the way. I think they're great.
Hassan, you're a fan.
Yeah, I was going to say, Bob, I want to get your take on how, look, we saw during spring training that the Orioles had the best record in the majors. But then you have a team like the Orioles who has a great farm system and doesn't have, I think, any player that's making over $10 million a year. But then you look at somebody like the Dodgers, who are paying everybody over $100 million. Like, and they aren't even, look, they're good, but if you look at the records, they're not as good as the Orioles are, at least on paper. Like, is this going to start to kind of revolutionize how teams start to really go after the farm system again
so.
and naturally
I
grow?
think so. This Mike Elias, the general manager, is one of a kind. And if they're going to spend any money, it ought to be on keeping him. Because this guy, as you just pointed out, has a formula, and I don't know what it is, but he's got a formula where we might have the best team in baseball with one of the lowest payrolls. And how he pulls that off, I don't get. But teams like the Yankees and Dodgers, their formula is not working, and they're spending a
Well, I was
fortune.
going to say, and the Yankees tried to buy World Series for the last 15 years, and how's that worked out? Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So what is Elias doing? He's whatever it is, it's incredible. It just really is.
Ganesha, I want you to know that we're delighted to have you back, really. And I just like the way you talk. Do you have anything else you want to say before we?
Yeah, I'm excited to go spend more time in the Orioles box. I just got an invite today, so you know that's my fandom. I like free drinks in the box. That's what I have to add to it. I did see a map though at the at I guess it was today or yesterday, the banners headline Adios Angelos or something like that. I didn't click on it, but I don't know if it's celebrating the Angelos ouster. Well, it's not an ouster, but anyway.
So
that's all I have to offer.
Guys, I want to ask you to please sign up so we know who you are. Go to Watch Square Off at hotmail.com. This was really fun. Ganesha, you're fun. Jimmy, are you sleeping well in the car? You're the best.
Drive
It's like Jerry Seinfeld. Bob, thanks. Hassan, thank you all. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us here at squareoff.net. I'm Richard Sher. We'll see you back here next week with a brand new, fresh show. Be safe. Join us next when we square off. Bye-bye.